Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you so very much. You give me every incentive, ladies and gentlemen, and you help me do these live streams, so I just want to thank you. And to my new Patreons, thank you so very, very much. The link is below, people. If you want to support my voice long-term via Patreon, definitely on this. I'm going to be doing I'm going to be doing about 2-hour live streams from now on in the evening instead of 2 separate live streams. So your support is greatly, greatly appreciated. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a very interesting, there's so much going on, and there's so many things going on, and most of it is a bunch of nonsense. There's such a charade. This is such a charade that's going on. Just today, the wonderful former vice president, possibly the first cadaver or exhumed body to ever become president, not Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. I will have made the biggest political call on that. They're not going with Biden. That's absurd. But just today they asked him, they said, why do you want to be president? And he couldn't answer. He actually didn't answer. He goes, that's for people to decide. And the newscaster said, she said, well, make your case. You can hear it right now. You'll hear it a little later. But he said, no, I'm not going to. So they're not really like the charade. The racket is up. The racket is pretty much up. The whole thing's a bunch of nonsense to begin with. All of this is a bunch of nonsense. Only an imbecile would believe that Russia bought Facebook ads and hacked the DNC but didn't touch Madam Secretary's server with top secret and special access program intelligence and classified data. But they would go after the DNC to inform the country that Bernie Sanders was cheated, thus giving Clinton the popular vote, but taking the Electoral College away because Facebook ads targeted people in swing states. Because Putin and the Russians are so smart, they knew that the Twitter bots and Facebook ads would target people in swing states. And we know that Russian intelligence officers were part of this because Mueller indicted people that he knew would never stand trial based on CrowdStrike's assessment. Okay, CrowdStrike was paid for by the Democratic Party. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, so let's go ahead really quickly. If you want to well, let's just listen to this right now. So this is William Barr today. He basically defended all this. Okay, this was all about defending the Durham probe. That's what this was all about. So they tried, undermining and setting up Trump and saying he worked with Russia. They found nothing. They indicted people on process crimes because they had agents who literally were telling each other, we have to stop Trump. Literally. Then you had an impeachment that was based on the notion that nobody should investigate Democrats, and if you do, you're trying to interfere in the election, but the Mueller probe's not an interference in the midterms. We can go on forever. You can always investigate Republicans. That's completely above board. You don't have to find intent as long as you have an investigation with Madam Secretary, but there's no intent, even though nobody knows how classified data found its way onto servers outside of the United States government. Top secret intelligence also, and special access program intelligence. But anyway, let's listen to William Barr, because they're very upset that, like, Roger Stone and the Durham probe and Michael Flynn, they're very upset that their attempts to go after anyone associated with Trump, their political adversaries, are being undermined by William Barr. So then they twist that into, well, obviously he's working for Trump, Because when we go after Trump, it's completely justified and legitimate and above board. Of course, if we are found to have gone after Trump for political purposes and to just undermine him, if there's evidence of that, well, we'll just sweep that under the rug or ignore that completely. But let's listen. This is hilarious. This is my favorite Democrat, Eric Swalwell. He is the best. If it wasn't, let me tell you, I would have voted for him over President Trump. That's how much I love him. Jimbo! I watched Biden live, 15,000 watching, all pro-Trump comments, 200 likes, 4.1 thousand dislikes. That's so hilarious. Jimbo! That is so great. So there was, I saw a clip, we'll play that clip a little later. Jimbo! We'll play that clip a little later. But, that's so great. Jimbo, thank you so very much. I love that. I can't believe so many people were watching, but and I'm probably mostly Trump supporters. Kaylee Smith was listening to Hearing today at work, had to turn it off, or I was going to Barr is a badass. He is. Kaylee Smith, thank you as always. Jimbo, thank you as always. But let's listen to this. Kaylee and Jimbo, my favorite Democrat is Eric Swalwell. My second favorite is Hillary Clinton. I love them both. They're fantastic. They're both amazing. Let's listen to this. Oh, Lord.
Other than to help the president's friend get a reduced.
Oh, my God. This is like impossible.
Other case. Mr. Barr, have you ever intervened other than to help the president's friend get a reduced
Oh, my
sentence
God. This is the
any
worst.
other case where a prosecutor
Why is
filed
this?
a recommendation with the court?
A sentencing recommendation?
Yeah. Have you ever intervened other than that case with the president's friend?
Have you ever intervened? You can't hear Swalwell, but he says, have you ever intervened other than to help Trump? So it's like a question, like, how long have you been committing crimes?
Not that I recall, if you're talking...
Does that seem like something you recall where you would...
Well, I'm saying I can't really remember my first, if you let me finish the question. I can't
That's a big
remember.
deal.
30 years ago, I was Attorney General.
As Attorney General now?
No, I didn't. But that's because issues come up to the Attorney General within a dispute. And I have never heard of a dispute. I've never heard of a dispute in the department where line prosecutors threaten to quit.
Well, it's a pretty big deal, and they
because of a
Mr. Barr,
discussion over sentencing.
Americans
akin
from
to
both
this.
parties are concerned that in Donald Trump's America, there's two systems.
In Donald Trump's America, there's two systems. These are people who purchased a dossier to go after Trump. So check this. This is hilarious.
Justice. One for Mr. Trump and his cronies, and another for the rest of us.
Another for the rest of us. You're talking about the future 2020 nominee and the 2016 Democratic nominee having servers outside of the United States government to hide communication, and the FBI director is saying, gosh, there was no intent, and then a week prior saying, oh yeah, well, we found more classified intelligence outside of the government,
But that can only happen if you enable it. At your confirmation hearing, you were asked, do you believe a president could lawfully issue a pardon in exchange for the recipient?
Kaylee! Kaylee aired live on TV. He did. Well, no, actually, Kaylee, it was Chris Matthews, Kaylee Smith. It was Chris Matthews. He's the one who dealt it. Chris Matthews, but here.
Promised to not. You were asked, and you responded, no, that would be a crime. Is that right?
Yes, I said that.
You said a crime. You didn't say it'd be wrong. You didn't say it'd be unlawful. You said it would be a crime. And when you said that a president swapping a pardon to silence a witness would be a crime, you were promising the American people that...
See, the thing is, they're trying to say, this is hilarious. Obviously, it would be a crime to silence a witness with a pardon. What the basic breakdown and logic here is that Trump didn't do that. So the assumption here is that he pardoned Stone because Stone has so much that he can disclose, and yet they didn't indict him on anything that he could have disclosed. So they had no evidence. They claim without evidence. They constantly claim without evidence that he has information that will completely undermine President Trump. Kaylee Smith, thank you again. So they constantly claim without evidence that he has all this information. But Stone doesn't. See, they would have indicted him on anything to do with some kind of grandiose plot. But here.
That if you saw that, you would do something about it. Is that right?
That's right.
Now, Mr. Barr, are you investigating Donald Trump for commuting the prison sentence of his longtime friend and political advisor, Roger Stone?
No.
Why would anyone investigate Trump for commuting Stone's sentence? You had Bill Clinton pardon Mark Rich, who was literally a fugitive.
Why not?
Why not? This is hilarious. So, are you investigating Trump for being part of the demise of an asteroid millions of miles from Earth? No. Well, why not? Because Trump had nothing to do with that.
Why should I?
Why should I? Hold on, you have to see it. This is great. I have no clue why. This is PBS, by the way, and it's like the sound is horrendous. But here, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Okay, so here. Okay, so. Okay, hold on 1 second.
No.
Why not?
Why should I?
Well, let's talk about that. Mr. Stone was convicted by a jury on 7 counts of lying in the Russia investigation.
7 counts of lying in the Russia investigation does not mean that he worked with Russians or that anyone else worked with Russians or worked with Putin. 7 counts of lying about what? Issues that have nothing to do with interference. So they are able to any agency, whether it's the FBI or police department or anyone, is able to notice how they want to defund law enforcement, but when you have law enforcement they have the FBI working on their behalf with Comey, oh my God, you have to revere. But here,
he bragged that he lied to save Trump's butt. But why would he lie? You're prosecutors, Mr.
Okay. This is the breakdown in logic from Swalwell. He bragged that he lied to save Trump. Old school dad, man! This hearing is a complete injustice to Americans. It is, but you know what? Old school dad, man, they do themselves in. Democrats did themselves in. Kaylee Smith! My last one, I swear. No, Kaylee, thank you. I reclaim my time. Are you kidding? Thank you, Kaylee Smith. Thank you, as always. My goodness, no, I mean, thank you. Super chat is important. Thank you so very much, Kaylee. Thank you as always. Mike Cavallero! HA, you seem to have special insight. Do you have high level? No, I don't. And the answer is yes, just blink the right. I don't have any. No, Mike Cavallero, I just have knowledge of the duplicity, the disingenuous nature of the Democratic Party, the dynamics of political power, the understanding that Boss Tweed did not have a great political career, and Madam Secretary and other Democrats are following in his footsteps. So it's Mike Cavallero. Thank you. Thank you, Mike Cavallero. To my super chat, thank you. I mean, everyone helps tremendously. Eric Swalwell, I love so much. I would have voted for him, but President Trump is there, so I'm voting for President Trump. But here,
Mr. Barr told a jury that Stone lied because the truth looked bad for Donald Trump. And what truth is that? Well, Donald Trump denied in written answers to the Russia investigators that he talked to Roger Stone during the time Roger Stone was in contact with agents of a Russian influence operation.
If indeed Roger Stone was in contact with agents of a Russian influence operation, he would have been indicted on that. He would have been indicted on that, either through 18 U.S. Code 371 or another statute. He was not charged with any. Nobody has ever been charged for working alongside Russian operatives. Not even a Russian operative or an alleged Russian operative. So they say Natalia Veselnitskaya was this Russian operative, but she did not get charged for anything to do with the Trump Jr. meeting. They have nothing on Trump because they fabricated everything. The Steele dossier was complete nonsense. But here,
there's evidence that Trump and Stone indeed did talk during that time. You would agree.
Where's the evidence? If Trump talked to Stone, no cell phone, no communication, no White House, nobody leaks anything. Give me a break. They have nothing. They never have anything, but they grandstand.
That it's a federal crime to lie under oath. Is that right?
Yeah. Ask James Clapper and John Brennan. They both lied under oath. And interestingly enough, I don't know if Clinton's interrogation or brunch or whatever friendly discussion with Peter Strzok was under oath. I don't know. Where are the 302s for that? I mean, wouldn't you like to see, where are the 302s regarding Peter Strzok and Clinton's conversations? Where are the 302s pertaining to Michael Flynn and Peter Strzok? So nobody knows. I mean, it's complete. The whole thing's complete nonsense. It's so hilarious. Can I tell you something? Eric Swalwell is the gift that keeps on giving, because it's basically like the intellectual contest of Einstein versus an amoeba. It's pretty hilarious.
Yes. It's a crime for you, it's a crime for me, and it's certainly a crime for the President of the United States. Is that right?
Yes.
So if Donald Trump lied to the Mueller investigators...
He didn't lie. He didn't lie. That's the thing. They have no evidence that he lied. This is so amazing. This is so great. Hidden for time. Democrats seem to enjoy making great display of their fake outrage. Well, this is also hidden for time. The interesting thing also is the following. They literally do not have any evidence. Like, okay, number one, nobody really understands the Mueller probe or cares about it anymore. Nobody understands, very few people in the country, aside from Trump supporters who were really interested in it, understand that President Trump was set up and framed. Like, the whole, that whole, most people don't get it, okay? Most people don't understand exactly how he was framed. You had loyalists, you had people who were communicating a lot with one another, stating that we're going to stop Trump. Then you, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, Kevin Kleinsmith, they had all these anti-Trump text messages, and they were investigating Trump, and they were covering up Clinton's actual... You cannot own servers outside of the United States government. You couldn't even get a job at Microsoft or Apple or any tech firm and have servers outside of the United States of your tech company. The issue is that they covered up actual crimes and they fabricated a bunch of nonsense that served as a very soft landing when they lost the election. And they're going to lose the election again. And then you'll probably see somebody come out of the woodwork and say, Trump is doing this now. And then they'll continue with the fake outrage because there will be enough people who they won't be able to accept the fact that they lost. Old school dad, man. How many votes Democrats lose today? About 2 million. They didn't gain any votes. They certainly didn't gain any votes. Octavio Sandoval! Octavio, I'm not gonna. I'll just because of YouTube guidelines, they're like super sensitive about that. CNN came out with an article, basically vindicating the president. That was about a couple weeks back. Octavio Sandoval, thank you. But here, Scott Deal, thank you. Scott, thank you so very much. Scott Deal, thank you very, very much. Thank you for always watching, Scott. Thank you. But let's continue here.
Which you agree would be a crime, then Roger Stone was in a position to expose Donald Trump's lies. Are you familiar with the December 3rd?
What?
Then Roger Stone. So if Donald Trump lied to the Mueller investigators.
He didn't lie to the Mueller investigators. What? This is hilarious. This is so Scott and everybody here. It's so easy to kind of. It's so easy to kind of. It's so easy to kind of to see. He didn't lie to the Mueller investigators. Scott, old school dad man, thank you so very much. Thank you, everybody, to my super chat. Thank you. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you. This is hilarious. I'm having such a good time. Here, look.
Which you agree would be a crime.
So, since Donald Trump lied, which you agree would be a crime, he never agreed that Trump lied. But anyway.
Then Roger Stone was in a position to expose Donald Trump's lies.
No, because there's no evidence that Trump knew that Trump either contacted him or that Stone had information that's detrimental to Trump, because he didn't. What Roger Stone did himself in. That's the problem. Roger Stone did himself in. What he did was the following. He lied about a lot of things. Oh, I know how the emails came out, da-da-da. So he engaged in a whole bunch of hyperbole and puffery and, made claims that weren't accurate simply to make himself. He exaggerated. He made false false statements, and he exaggerated his knowledge of politics. So, if I have to, with me, I don't know anyone in government. I don't know anyone any high up, person in the United States government. When I was writing in the Huffington Post, The Hill, and Salon, and my writing was going viral, and I called the 2016 election, I did so because I understood that a lot of what goes on is public relations. So I understood that the polls were part of a public relations ploy. These are tactics utilized by media to elevate their preferred candidate. Then I realized when Bernie Sanders was cheated. Well, I can go on forever. I've evolved over time to become a Trump supporter because I realized how duplicitous and disingenuous Democrats are, and how flawed the logic is that Democrats and the left utilize. They utilize the most flawed, absurd, nonsensical, irrational arguments. And everyone who's try to either go after me or try to insult me or demean me, I've said, let's debate. And almost everybody, and I've debated people, and the debates have been fantastic, but almost everybody that I've said let's debate didn't want to debate me because they knew I'd rip them a new one. But that's basically let's just continue. Democrats have no policies. They have no ideology that makes any sense. They basically just selling emotions and manufacturing emotions at this point. So I don't know anybody, but I do understand. I do understand how politics works. Democrats don't they think that people really care about their condemnation and judgment, but people don't at all. Wally Pop! Nice! Wally Pop. And the teacher said, nice. Oh my goodness, Lollipop, I love all your comedy. You know what? I would definitely pay to see a stand up. Thank you, Lollipop. That's awesome. Lollipop, thank you. Nice. So let's continue.
Are you familiar with the December 3rd, 2018 tweet where Donald Trump said Roger Stone had shown guts by not testifying against him?
The reason he tweeted that was not because he was afraid that Stone had all of this information. The reason he did that was because almost everyone, well, Michael Cohen, for example, made things up. They didn't impeach President Trump on anything to do with the Mueller probe because they had nothing. They did not impeach President Trump on anything to do with Russia. They didn't impeach President Trump on anything to do with Stormy. They didn't impeach President Trump on breaking any laws. Then they said, well, it's a political statement. They said, well, we don't have to impeach him on breaking a law. We can impeach him on a political statement. We can impeach him on a political statement. So, Jim, there's nothing. It's only Trump bad. Great point. They don't have a platform. Well, let's continue.
No, I'm not familiar with that.
You don't read the president's tweets?
No.
Well, there's a lot of evidence in the president's tweets, Mr. Attorney General.
Tweets? There's a lot of evidence in the president's tweets. No, there isn't.
Well, I think you should start reading them because he said Mr. Stone showed guts, but on July 10 of this year, Roger Stone declared to a reporter, I had 29 or 30 conversations with Trump during the campaign period. Trump knows I was under enormous pressure to turn on him. It would have eased my situation considerably, but I didn't.
Yeah, he didn't make things up. This is so easily this is like trying to teach physics. This is like William watching this is like William Barr and Eric Swalwell. It's like a person trying to teach nuclear physics to an armadillo. Swalwell doesn't know what he's talking about because he keeps on he keeps on bringing up the most benign and irrelevant points. Trump made a tweet saying he respects Stone, and Stone said that if he was to flip, he could have flipped on Trump a million times. Well, yeah, because Michael Cohen made things up regarding the campaign finance violations. It's not a campaign finance violation if you want to keep an affair hidden from your family. That's not a campaign finance violation. Okay, a campaign finance violation would actually be purchasing a dossier with the funds from the Democratic National Committee, which is what they did. Okay, but then you have a whole litany of FEC violations linked to very progressive politicians, and they never get looked at. So then you have John Brennan and you have John Brennan and you have James Clapper lying under oath. The Justice Department didn't go after them. So it's like a whole bunch of nonsense, but here.
Prosecutors wanted me to play Judas. I refused. Are you familiar with that Stone statement?
Actually, I'm not.
So how can you sit here and tell us, why should I investigate the President of the United States if you're not even aware of the facts concerning the President using the pardon or commutation power to swap the silence of a witness?
Because that's not a fact, number one. That's not a fact. He's making these Democrats, and it's really hilarious, liberals in general and Democrats make claims, categorical claims that are just factually untrue. They're patently false. And then they claim it's like, we got you. It's like, no, you didn't. Mark Skog, super funny, two super funny days in a row. Team Twitter played medical board of directors for the entire Earth. Then, since one of the last shifts in Democratic Navy live on C-SPAN. Mark Skog, thank you, Mark Scott, Mark Skog. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you. Yeah, Twitter is, oh my God, like, Twitter is, oh my God. It's funny too because, Mark, Twitter will be the downfall of Democrats and they don't even see it. And so, and this is like, does this help? Like, Biden is not going to be nominee, but let's say, like, does it help Biden? No. This only helps Clinton. She's going to be the nominee, people. Tell everybody you know. She's not only going to be nominee, it's so funny. This is so hilarious. Mark, thank you. Christopher! Bernie voters didn't even come out for Bernie this year. Dems think they'll come out for Biden. Exactly. Well, you know what's really hilarious? It's kind of funny too because you have this is a really, really hilarious sentiment that people who become Trump supporters, like the notion that nobody can become a Trump supporter from a Bernie supporter, that is another flawed, like there's no logic behind that. There's a lot more in common with Bernie 2016 and President Trump than there is Bernie 2020 or 2016 and Biden. So Biden would veto Medicare for all and would veto any Green New Deal legislation. And they don't have. It's funny, the Bernie supporters, it took a second for them. It took a second for them to go from Medicare for all to forgetting about Bernie's campaign, to not even bringing up what happened in Iowa. It's never about policy for them because nobody's talked about Medicare for all. It's only about, look, the left is about fitting in. That's it. And when you have a different viewpoint and then you get disparaged and demeaned and mocked, it's not about them trying to undermine your viewpoint because they can't. Like if you were to say, hey, you know what, Medicare for all is great, but it's not feasible. That would be sacrilegious. That would be sacrilege. That would be blasphemy. So, Mark, thank you. Christopher, exactly. Bernie Sanders supporters. The most people on the left, whether it's Bernie Sanders supporters or the communists or the socialists or the anarchists or all different factions of the left, they're all going to vote Democrat. Whether you're a social democrat or whatever label you put, you're voting Democrat. And the people I do respect are the Green Party people, but they're marginalized by Bernie Sanders pundits or people who they're marginalized by their fellow left-leaning, colleagues because they're not part of the in crowd. They're not voting. They're hurting the Democratic Party. It's all about promoting the Democratic Party. It's not about policy. It has nothing to do with policy, because the same people who won't vote for Biden will vote for Hillary Clinton when she becomes nominee. It's never about Medicare for all or Green New Deal legislation, because they haven't even passed any Green New Deal legislation. It has nothing to do with policy. They haven't passed the Medicare for all bill. So when people switch and they say, you know what, the left is full of it, then they're like, oh, well, you know what, you just can't, you're a Trumper. You're a Trumper, They don't understand how foreign policy is one of the biggest reasons you go from Bernie Sanders to President Trump. And 10 to 15% of voters, of Bernie voters in 2016 went to President Trump. Twan win! I'm proud to have AG Barr stand up to the stupidity of Nadler. Exactly. Twan, exactly. I love it. I love it. I think it's fantastic because you have people who try to grandstand, whether it's Nadler or Well, we'll listen to Nadler right now. But you have people who try to grandstand, and it doesn't work out. Twan, win. Thank you so very, very much. Twan, thank you. It's so true, but let's listen to this. And then they don't care that Trump was set up and framed. So it's like, what policy do Democrats stand for? Because the progressives got zero. They're not defunding the police. They're not getting Medicare for all. They're not getting any Green New Deal legislation. So what policies is the Democratic Party giving them? They have a choice to go Green Party if they're all about policy, but they're all about fitting in. You don't want to do anything that hurts the Democratic Party too much. At the end of the day, you funnel all the votes back into the Democratic Party, and you weed out anyone who disagrees with you. And you either say, gosh, I told you so, or you marginalize anyone who says either Trump isn't that bad or Trump is a great president. Because it's not about intellect. It's not about debate. I would eviscerate any of the million sub or 800,000 sub, whether it's progressive or liberal, whatever, the Medicare for all, $20 million venture capital and subsidiary channels. But they don't, because I know they're dirty laundry. I know that they don't want money out of politics. They don't want Medicare for all. They don't want a Green New Deal. They say they do, but they're not going to do what it takes to force Democrats to implement those things. And the only thing that Democrats care about is votes. So the only way to force the Democratic Party to implement progressive policies is to say, we won't vote Democrat. That's literally the only way. We'll vote Green. But again, then you'd be ostracized and marginalized. Then you'd be a Trump supporter. And their whole thing is simply falling in line. That's all they care about, is simply falling in line. They have no other, it has nothing to do with, the left has nothing to do with policy, which is hilarious, but let's continue. Christopher, thank you.
We require, a reliable predicate before we open a criminal investigation.
And I just gave to you, sir.
I don't consider it. I consider it a very Rube Goldberg theory that you have.
Well, it sounds like you're hearing this.
And by the way, if I applied this standard, there'd be a lot more people under investigation.
If I apply this standard, there'd be a lot more people under investigation, meaning Democrats.
General, the very same day that Roger Stone said that, Donald Trump.
That's one of the
surprise.
The true two standards of justice were really during the tail end of the Obama administration.
Mr. Attorney General, let's turn to the Michael.
Whoa, let's see this. See, notice how the wonderful people on the left who claim to be fighting the system, they would never say anything good about William Barr. They would never say anything good about William Barr. Just like they told people, look, at the end of the day, when Hillary Clinton becomes nominee, the Never Biden people are going to vote Clinton. The Never Biden people are going to vote Clinton. There are no Never Biden voters, and there are no Biden voters. There are no Never Biden voters because Biden is not going to be nominee. And what's going to take place is Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee, and because she's literally the only chance they have at victory. She won't win, but she could. But President Trump will win again. And it'll be the same people who demand allegiance to their flawed ideology and arguments and their obsession with certain policy objectives that Democrats will never implement, ever. Democrats will never implement Medicare for all. Because the only people who would take them to task are the Green Party people. And the biggest pundits on the left, the ones that have millions of subs or 800,000 subs, would never join the Green Party because then there goes their allegiance to the Democratic Party. Then they'll be painted as helping Trump. And it's like, there goes the racket or the grift. But let's continue.
Attorney General, let's turn to the Michael Cohen case. Are you aware, sir, that Michael Cohen, after being released from prison, was asked to not engage with the media, including to write a book? Were you aware that that was going to be asked of him?
Was I aware?
He probably signed like 10 NDAs.
Yes.
No.
Do you know if anyone else in your department was aware?
Maybe I should tell you what happened.
Why don't you tell us what happened?
Okay. He was furloughed from the Bureau of Prison.
By the way, I have 100% respect for Jimmy Dore, and there's a couple others, but about 3 or 4 others on the left that I respect 100%. But I'm referring to people that get venture capital funding and all their little affiliate channels. You get venture capital funding, and you talk about Medicare for all, and then you vote for Hillary Clinton twice. I'm telling you, anybody on the left that pumped the Trump-Russia myth or the impeachment absurd, completely irrational narrative, anyone that did that, okay, is not a Never Biden person. They're going to vote for Hillary Clinton. It ain't going to be Biden. Okay, Biden is not going to be the nominee. Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have. Now, I don't know how they're going to transfer it, but let's continue. I don't know how Clinton is going to become nominee, but she will.
No. Why don't you tell us why he was asked?
I will tell you, because something that people don't seem to understand is that his home confinement was not being supervised by the Bureau of Prisons. It was being supervised by the probation office, which is part of the U.S. court system. And it was the U.S. court system that had the requirements about not writing.
That U.S. court system called your actions retaliatory. Do you agree with that?
No. So all I know is what has been said in court before the judge and in the record, which is that the individual was then called by the U.S. court system saying that this guy Cohen is uncooperative. He's not agreeing to the conditions.
So notice how he goes to bat. Jimbo, yeah, exactly. Jimbo, thank you very much. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, thank you. It's embarrassing to see these lightweights versus Barr. Exactly. It's so hilarious too, because it's like, let's try to do Nadler. That was a good one too. It's so hilarious because it's like Nadler. Then you get like Nadler blasts Barr. It's like not really, because you would have to not really understand. If people don't understand, how and like exactly how Trump was set up and framed by an apparatus that has been politicized since J. Edgar Hoover took over the FBI. But let's just continue. Since then, it's been a political tool, or you have a great many people. Let's listen to Nadler and William Barr. This is another hilarious one. Jimbo, this is probably the best one here. Nadler versus Barr. This is fantastic. Again, like, if you really wanted to go and fight the system, and you think like the intelligence agencies or you think that you don't want an authoritarian government, you would probably want to side with Barr, not Democrats that worship intelligence agents that literally stated they're going to go after Trump. But let's listen to this.
In the affirmative, in your time at the department, you have aided and abetted the worst failings of the president.
Okay, this is hyperbole, and it's nothing to do with. This is hyperbole and nonsense, and it's like this is like a show trial. And again, you have a nuclear physicist versus like versus a Nadler. But here, Jerry Nadler is hilarious.
Affirmative. In your time at the department, you have aided and abetted the worst failings of the president. In coordination with the White House, the department has spread disinformation about voter fraud, failed to enforce voting rights.
Okay, disinformation about voter fraud. Climb BMX. Barr to Nadler. I waited 45 minutes for you. I don't know if I don't remember that part, but I should remember that part. But climb BMX. Let's just hear South Philly judge climb BMX stuffing ballot box. This is hilarious. So don't you? William Barr should have. South Philly judge of elections admits he took bribes to stuff the ballot box for Democratic candidates May 21st, 2020. Gee, you think Pennsylvania might be close with people like the South Philly judge taking bribes to stuff ballot boxes for Democratic candidates? This is May 21st, the Philadelphia Inquirer. South Philly judge of elections admits he took bribes to stuff the ballot box for Democratic candidates. So climb BMX. Thank you. Let's listen to this. This is hilarious.
Laws and attempted to change the census rules to flaunt the plain text of the Constitution, and even defied court orders on this subject, all in the apparent attempt to assist the president's re-election. At the president's request, the department has amplified the president's conspiracy theories and shielded him from responsibility by
So that is a phrase they use for anything they disagree with. So their theories are discredited by their own investigations. Their theories say that Trump worked with Russia. That never happened, ever. Russia helped Democrats, or Russia helped Trump. Did Debbie Wasserman Schultz resign in disgrace because of Russia or because of the emails that were written by Democrats? They cheated Bernie Sanders. Then they blamed Russia for letting everyone know that Bernie was cheated. Then nobody brings that up because the left is a bunch of lemmings that ultimately work for the Democratic Party. If you're on the left, there's probably like 3 or 4 or 5% of the left. And there are some good like YouTube channels. I don't want to bring them up because like I'm like, Typhoid Mary. Anything good I say about anybody, they'd be like, yeah, H.A. Batman said he likes you, so therefore you're horrible. But there are about 3 or 4 or 5 channels on the left. Well, I mean, Jimmy Dore is big enough to where I can say he's fantastic. I just, probably disagree with him on a bunch of issues, but he's fantastic. He's real and he's genuine. Okay? And he broke away from, that whole, apparatus. But the left doesn't care about truth. They care about playing a dirty political game and then trying to pretend that Trump plays a dirtier political game, which he doesn't. President Trump won states that haven't voted Republican since the 80s. Michigan and Pennsylvania haven't voted Republican since 1988. Wisconsin hadn't voted Republican since 1984. He never needed racism or Russia or anything else. But Klein, BMX, thank you. People wanted to vote for President Trump because of what he stands for, which overwhelmingly are positive things like bringing home Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, which you will never hear from almost everyone on the left. You will never hear that. They'll talk about empire. They'll focus on one country in a region of the world, one country, which I'm not going to get to now, one country, and they'll forget about every other country. And they'll talk about slashing a military budget, but they won't talk about Jimbo, yes, 19 days to glory. Well, if they keep with Biden, then something will happen where it's going to be Clinton. But 19, yes, exactly. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Jimbo, thank you. Hillary Clinton is going to be nominee at that convention. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be fantastic. She's the only chance they have. Jimbo, thank you. Pete Solano! I'm scared for the U.S. Constitution because the Democrats want to shred it. But you know what, Pete? They need constitutional amendments, and they're not going to get the constitutional amendments because they don't have 2/3 of the Senate, 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of state legislatures. So, Pete Solano, thank you so very much as always. There's no chance that There's no chance that Democrats can even touch the Constitution or remove the Electoral College or pack the courts. That's just the voice of very pathetic imbeciles who are sore losers. Jimbo, Pete Solano, thank you everybody. But let's continue here. This is hilarious.
Blatantly misrepresenting the Mueller report and failing to hold foreign actors accountable for their attacks on our elections. The department.
Okay, President Obama did not hold foreign actors accountable. This interference happened under President Obama. Why did this interference happen under President Obama's administration? That's the question to ask. Why did all of this happen when Democrats were in charge? Why did this take place when Democrats were in charge? That is the question. That's what should be asked by everybody. So it's like, obviously Russia, if Russia interfered in the election, if Russia interfered in the election, then why on earth? If Russia interfered in the election, then why on earth would they have been so frightened of the Democratic Party? Generally, one would think that they would be very reticent or shy or reluctant to interfere in the election if they knew the Democrats, the big bad to the bone, the big bad mean Democrats would retaliate. They obviously didn't care. That's what's so great about the Second Amendment. That's why I'm such a big Second Amendment advocate. Got that, that death threat when I was on the left. The police officer literally told me, hey, you know what? He literally said, kind of shrugged his shoulders and said, yeah, you got to protect yourself. So he basically said something like, you know what to do. And then we talked about the Second Amendment, and that's why, if you have the understanding, if people have the understanding that you will protect your family or you will protect yourself if somebody tries to break into your home and do you harm, and you have the means to protect yourself, then they'll be reluctant to. It's not a silver bullet, it doesn't protect you forever, but at least you let people know that you are going to fight back and you're going to retaliate and you're going to defend your life and your family's life. And this way, people, criminals or bad, people with bad intentions will think twice or will be very likely dissuaded from trying to harm you. Yeah, that didn't happen in 2016 with Russia and the Democratic Party. Why did Russia hack the DNC, the Clinton campaign, the DCC, the foundation? Why did they buy Facebook ads? Why? Because they knew President Obama would do nothing. And also, we have no evidence that even one vote was altered. We have no evidence that even one vote was altered. Todd Rubel, I yield my time to H.A. Goodman. Todd, thank you. People will take advantage of you if they know you're not going to fight back. That's why the Democratic, hilarious, pathetic propaganda spin the past 4 years didn't work. The entire basis for this Russia probe and everything is that, well, Russia is so afraid of Democrats. If indeed they were afraid of the Democratic Party, then Russia would have thought twice about doing all of this because they would be so frightened. President Obama could have done a great many things from November, December, and then January. He had all of November, had all of December, and then he had January. And then right before he left, he implemented sanctions that were, public relations ploys. And then they set up Michael Flynn on, reversing those sanctions with Sergei Kislyak. So then it's like the whole thing, it's so, if you believe in nonsense, if you were scorned and you lost an election like Democrats did, after every single pundit was saying all of those Medicare for all people that said vote for Clinton went to, well, Trump worked with Russia, then they went to, well, Trump should be impeached for withholding military assistance to the Ukraine, you might as well just go from intelligence operatives to CNN, to the Washington Post, to the New York Times, to MSNBC, to your favorite progressive Medicare for all Green New Deal pundit who said vote for Clinton and who will then say vote for Clinton after pretending to be never Biden. They're not about policy. There's nothing to do with policy. They obsess and touch themselves in ecstasy about policy that Democrats will never implement. Never implement. And then if they have a Green New Deal resolution, well, a Green New Deal resolution is not legislation. They're not about policy. They're about pretending they're for certain legislation, and then at the end of the moment saying, gosh, at least Clinton 2020 will be, or, they think Biden, but it ain't going to be Biden. But Clinton 2020 will get us there faster. Like, no, it won't. No, it won't. They're tools of the Democratic Party. They don't, if they truly cared, if the left truly cared, they'd vote Green Party. But that's not cool enough. Green Party helps Trump. Green Party hurts the Democrats, so they wouldn't do that. They certainly wouldn't do that. But let's continue.
The department has placed the president's political needs over the public health by challenging stay-at-home orders in the states hit hardest by the pandemic.
States hit hardest by the pandemic are Democrat states. Pat! I wonder how many... He is. Well, the lap band really, it really did wonders. It wasn't liposuction; it was the lap band thing. But he is a Brad Pitt type of person. Yes, Cure Pat. Thank you. But let's continue here.
Again and again, you personally have interfered with ongoing criminal investigations to protect the president and his allies from the consequences of their actions.
So wait a second. It's okay for Democrats to investigate based on hearsay and gossip, but it's not okay for William Barr and John Durham to investigate based on text messages that Democrats, that Democratic loyalists within the FBI actually wrote, stating "We'll stop Trump." Is that how it works? Is that how it works? It's interesting. It's really interesting how things work.
The message these actions send is clear. In this Justice Department, the president's enemies will be punished, and his friends will be protected, no matter the cost to liberty, no matter the cost to justice. Have you, now, yes or no, have you discussed the president's re-election campaign with the president, or with any White House official, or any surrogate of the president?
Well, I'm not going to get into my discussions with the president.
Well, have you discussed that topic with him, yes or no?
Not in relation to this program.
I didn't ask that. I asked if you discussed that with
I'm a member of the cabinet and there's an election going on. Obviously, the topic
So the
comes
answer
up.
is yes.
Well,
The answer
the
is yes.
topic comes up in cabinet meetings and other things.
Okay.
It shouldn't
And
be a
as part of-
surprise that the topic of the election.
I didn't say
I love that he's like, what do you think's let me try. There's an election in 3 months. Regarding the election, what do you think we talk about? So it shouldn't come as a surprise, Nadler, that I speak about the election to a president I'm working for that is running for re-election. Why shouldn't I talk about the election?
I was surprised. I just asked if you'd done that. So as part of those conversations,
He's so proud of himself, too. He's like, I wasn't surprised. I just was asking if you did that. Anyway, let me get to this next question that has nothing to do with you speaking, or as in no way could make you look bad, but I'll pretend that it makes you look bad.
with the president or his people about the re-election campaign, have you ever discussed the current or future deployment of federal law enforcement?
In connection with what?
In connection with what you just said, in connection with your discussions with the president or with other people around him of his re-election campaign, have you discussed the current or future deployment of federal law enforcement?
Well, as I say, I'm not going to get into my discussions with the president, but I've made it clear that
So they're trying to say that he's deploying federal officers to get reelected, but why would, if everything's peaceful, why would that help him get reelected? So that's the whole thing. If everything's peaceful, why would Nadler, if there wasn't a situation akin to Mad Max and Waterworld in Portland, why would federal officers be advantageous for Trump's re-election if everything is just about doves and daisies and peace and love? Chris Cullen! Chris! The people will claim their time in 2020 so their president can finish the job of draining the swamp. Exactly. Chris Cullen. Exactly. Thank you. I love that. That President Trump's going to win again. It's going to be for things like, because what Nadler is getting at is, oh, well, you just want the federal government, the federal officers, because you think that that's going to help you win re-election. Well, why would it help if everything's peaceful? Obviously, it would only help for people who see violence and Trump's federal officers trying to quell the violence. But, let's listen to this.
I would like to pick the cities based on law enforcement need and based on neutral criteria.
So, but you can't tell me whether you discussed.
We pick the cities, Nadler, based on the number of buildings that have been decimated by very peaceful citizens. And we pick the cities that resemble the movie Escape from L.A. and Escape from New York. And we pick only cities where the Democratic politicians allow chaos and mayhem. that you would infer that President Trump could win a re-election based on bringing federal officers to quell and stop rampant mayhem and chaos and just the most horrific scenes, that you would insinuate that the American people would vote for somebody who wanted to keep law and order is a very interesting proposition.
No, I'm not going to discuss what I discussed with the
Can
president.
you commit today that the department will not use federal law enforcement as a prop in the president's re-election campaign?
We are not.
Did you send federal officers as a prop? I mean, really? I mean, you pretend that people were, engaged in violent behavior, but really, it's just a prop for a re-election because people know that everything's peaceful.
I just want to close with this thought.
I just want to close with this thought. Roses are red, violets are blue, and Trump is Satan.
Really can't hide behind legal fictions this time, Mr. Barr. It's all out in the open, where the people can see what you are doing for themselves. The president wants footage for his campaign ads, and you appear to be serving it up to him as ordered.
The president wants footage for his re-election, and instead of just playing a tape of Mad Max, he's sending federal officers to Portland. Why? We don't know. Okay? It's not like the flames engulf the whole state. It's only confined within a city. So I have no idea why he would do that.
I would just ask people to, I'm supposedly punishing the president's enemies and helping his friends. What enemies have I indicted? Who could you point to one indictment that has been under the department that you feel is unmerited, that you feel violates the rule of law? One indictment. Now,
so that hurts, but that'll take place eventually. Angela Goodwin! I'm studying another German philosopher, Wilhelm Hegel, who influenced Marxism education, is the art of making man ethical. Education is the art of making man ethical. Boom, Democrats failed again. Yep. Angela Goodwin, thank you. It's true. It's true. D. Velasquez! Why would scary Russia not help the party or candidate which isn't smart enough to stop any kind of server election hacking? Exactly. Or uranium purchases. Exactly. That's the silver sword. Thank you. And that's D. Velasquez. That's exactly my point. Angela, beautiful sentiment. Thank you, as always. D. Velasquez, that's exactly my point. I agree with you 100%. 100%. I mean, 100%. And then you have Barr here is like, I haven't indicted anyone because I'm waiting for Trumpy to win re-election. Then we'll do a reverse jam on the entire apparatus that tried to set up Trumpy.
you say I helped the president's friends. The cases that are cited, the Stone case and the Flynn case, are both cases where I determined that some intervention was necessary to rectify the rule of law, to make sure people are treated the same. I said Stone was prosecuted under me. And I said all along, I thought that was a righteous prosecution. I thought he should go to jail. And I thought the judge's sentence was correct. But the lying prosecutors were trying to advocate for a sentence that was more than twice anyone else in a similar position had ever served. And this is a 67-year-old man, first-time offender, no violence, and they were trying to put him in jail for 7 to 9 years. And I wasn't going to advocate that, because that is not the rule of law. I agree the president's friends don't deserve special breaks, but they also don't deserve to be treated more harshly than other people. And sometimes that's a difficult decision to make, especially when you know you're going to be castigated for it. But that is what the rule of law is, and that's what fairness to the individual ultimately comes to, being willing to do what's fair to the individual.
It's unbelievable, too, that this is the thing. They didn't indict anyone. They didn't indict anyone on working with Russia because nobody worked with Russia, because it was a fantasy of Democrats. There's no evidence. They have nothing. There's no evidence. Zero evidence that anyone worked with Russia. Zero. Steele dossier is not evidence. It was purchased by Clinton. James Clapper's ODNI report is not evidence. It was fabricated by James Clapper. And it states, verbatim, we are highly to moderately confident. They're not even certain of their own spin. Oh, Lord. They're not even certain of their own spin. So, they're not even certain of their own spin. It's so hilarious. They have nothing. They never had anything. They never had anything. They literally never had anything. They never had anything. And they obsessed over it. And then everything that Trump says, they said, Trump claims without evidence. They have claimed without evidence for 3 years. And then their version of evidence would not be allowed. Their definition of evidence they would not utilize if Trump utilized the same evidence that they did against him. So if Trump utilized a dossier, or if John Ratcliffe, or if Richard Grenell said we're highly to moderately confident that Madam Secretary or Biden worked with, pick any country, they wouldn't accept that. They are, what they've done is they have not focused on policy. They don't have any policies that they want to implement. And when they lose again, it'll be because they've only focused on Trump. They're obsessed with him. And they have continuously lied to their voters. And their voters are not only gullible, any appeal to authority, whether it's the quote-unquote experts, or whether it's the intelligence community, or whether it's smart Democratic pundits or consultants, or any article that says something could possibly have taken place because James Clapper said it might have happened. At the end of the day, they don't even have evidence. They had no evidence of anything they claimed, so they constantly claim things without evidence. But there is not one person who altered their vote in 2016 because of Facebook ads or Twitter bots or because of the DNC emails. Not one person. And I remember I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. I remember when those emails came out, and they're like, oh, that's all you have? That's all you have? And then they say, no! The emails forced Debbie Wasserman Schultz to resign in disgrace. They were written by Democrats. And then you have Cheryl Mills in the campaign email saying, oh yeah, President Obama knows of Clinton's server. So all of them were lying, from the president on to the Clinton campaign, on to Attorney General Loretta Lynch said that she met with Bill Clinton to speak about golf, Brexit, and grandchildren. They constantly get caught up in deception. And they're not you don't have to be a genius or a rocket scientist or some kind of brilliant observer of politics to realize that they constantly do things that make no sense at all. They constantly engage in the most deceptive practices, and media is complicit in trying to sweep everything under the rug and pretend that, they're above board. And it's just always the same way. J-Man! Commies have won, H8 country's finished. No, I don't think so. I think President Trump, I think President Trump is going to, I think President Trump's going to win re-election pretty decisively. We'll see. It could be close. The only if Biden isn't going to be nominee, there's no way that Biden is the nominee. And you know what? I'm expecting Clinton at that nomination to become nominee because, look, it's not only the biggest political call of all time, it's the most accurate analysis and evaluation of the left, not just the Democratic Party. The left works for the Democratic Party. And the left is like, they're so stuck in their own, in their own failed paradigm of thought that they can't really see, they can't really see, they can't really see how easy it is to debunk all of their nonsense. They're the ones who presided over a uranium sale that President Obama did not veto. According to Snopes, he could have vetoed the sale. He could have vetoed the sale. Only he could have vetoed the sale. Well, he didn't. He didn't veto the sale. So it's like, this is interesting. The Vox, the House just passed its first climate bill in a decade. Okay, this is how important. This is on May 2nd, 2019. This is how important the world, the climate, the planet is in a decade. The first climate bill in a decade. I don't think they realized the importance of this headline. The House just passed its first climate bill in a decade. Okay. So, well, let's see. Is this what the resolution is? Because the resolution is not legislation. Okay, so I think they're referring in the press conference. Pelosi announced the Climate Change Act, which aims to keep the United States in the Paris. That's it. The only thing was to keep the U.S. in the Paris Climate Agreement. Okay. Other than that, no transformative. The suite of proposals from congressional Democrats to fight climate change range from pricing carbon dioxide to the expansive Green New Deal resolution. Okay, so they didn't pass any transformative climate change legislation. Nothing. And the only all-encompassing climate change law was a resolution that they then voted on in the Senate, and even Democrats voted against it, or most voted present, or, they were out of the country or whatever. So, House Democrats unveil ambitious climate change package, steering towards a net zero economy by 2050. Okay, so June 30th, 2020. So they waited 2 years. The nation's automakers would manufacture only electric cars. I wrote in the Federalist, you need cobalt and you need a whole bunch of very precious and hard to extract metals for electric car vehicle batteries that are that pollute the mining of pollute water sources and cause major diseases among people who mine. It's not electric car vehicles are not green or as environmentally friendly as people think they are at all. But the nation's automakers would manufacture only electric car vehicles. Utilities would have to stop producing pollution linked to climate change, and the federal government would double its investment in mass transit. Meanwhile, other countries would not do this at all. But that's a whole other story. So they waited until June 30th because that's how important the future of the planet is to them. And then you have people like, well, I care about the planet. Well, that's good. Democrats have done nothing. And this is a ambitious climate package. So it's a very broad legislation. It doesn't really do anything immediately. We're going to press ahead with everything we can in the near term. Why haven't they focused on this? Can you find a progressive or a Democrat who even knows that this took place? Anyway, all they care about is undermining President Trump. That's it. That's all they care about. Well, let's continue here. So let's listen to the following. So how do we, what is one example of, this is hilarious. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, when Clinton becomes nominee. So you have a really, really interesting this is either the other day, earlier today. This is Joe Biden explaining why everyone should vote for him.
Should people want to make a change, though?
Well, that's up to them to decide.
Why should they?
It's for them to decide.
Well, make your case.
I'm not going to.
But what?
I'm not going to. I'm not going to make my case. Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Like, I mean, at this point, how obvious can you make it? How obvious can you make it? This is interesting too, right here. This is great. This is a great one too, right here.
What makes me concerned for the country is this is the first time in my memory that the leaders of one of our great two political parties, the Democratic Party, are not coming out and condemning mob violence and the attack on federal courts. Why can't we just say, the violence against federal courts has to stop?
Because Democrats do the same thing with this that they do with kneeling during the national anthem. You don't see Pelosi kneeling during the national anthem. Todd Rubel! How do you think the Dems will remove Biden? I don't know. It could be a variety of things. I have no clue. Todd. All I know is that Hillary Clinton's going to be nominated because she's the only chance they have. She has the gravitas, she has the money, she has the ability to stand up to President Trump during debates. It will be the biggest story of all time. It will basically remove any it will remove the disguise the left has as being independent from the DNC. The left is an extension of the Democratic Party in every way. There are a great many people who think that they're independent from the Democratic Party, and they don't. But everything they do furthers one. And I'm not talking about the Green Party. The Green Party is. I have respect for the Green Party, a lot of respect, because they get pooped on by the entire left. But Lenny, why can't the people file a class action lawsuit for the lying to the American people about Russiagate? Well, it would have to be people like Lenny. I think that people like George Papadopoulos, Carter Page, Michael Flynn, their lawsuits. A Russian businessman, a couple of Russian business people were actually won recently against the dossier authors. Chell, thank you. So that would have to take place from the people who were wronged specifically. Patricia, thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. Very much. Thank you, Patricia. Beautiful photo of the horse. Patricia, thank you. Todd, I don't know exactly. I have no clue. But I have no clue. But hold on 1 second. This is interesting. Let's listen to this. This is Eric Trump tweeted this out. 2 hours ago.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Kingswood Community Center. Actually, that's the one down I used to work. As a joke. You didn't know where we were. Anyway, it's great to be here. And
So I don't know where he is, but that was a joke. He was someplace. So, and they have to be getting this from me. I said Weekend at Biden's for months now. I say again, that's fine. That's fine. You know. But it is Weekend at Weekend at Biden's. And so it's like, this is just really hilarious. Todd, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's definitely going to happen. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. When Clinton becomes nominee, it will be because of the people on the left that said vote for Clinton, regardless of whether or not they cheated Bernie Sanders. The Bernie Sanders supporters who said vote for Clinton they're the reasons. They are going to be 100% the reasons Trump is reelected. Thank God. They are so inept, they're good. President Trump is a great president, especially in terms of foreign policy. I want Americans home from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts. They don't care. They use buzzwords like American Empire, and they focus on tragedies that are taking place that are, I don't want to bring it up, but President Obama got us into the conflicts they bring up, and the atrocities are committed by countries that for some reason the left can't condemn. That if these tragedies and atrocities were committed by a certain other country, oh my God, the left would never stop. But we can go on forever regarding that. But, it's really interesting. Look. I'm telling you, I will have made the biggest political call of all time. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but you better believe that when it does happen, they're going to say nobody could have predicted this, and it's going to be something that like nobody could have predicted. I'm telling you, from 2017 till today, I was 4 years ahead. They're going with Hillary Clinton. They're not going with Father Time, Rip Van Winkle's nightmare, the man who looks and communicates like an exhumed body, and a cadaver that got plastic surgery. This is just hilarious. Check this out. This is just hilarious. This is hilarious. I mean, he's not even pretending.
Why should people want to make a change, though?
well, that's up to them to decide.
That's up to them to decide? I thought you wanted to be president.
Why should they?
It's for them to decide.
Well, make your case.
I'm not going to.
I'm not going to. Okay. Anyway. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. It's not that difficult to it's not that difficult to kind of to see the writing on the wall. It's never been about Biden. It's never been about the Democratic primary. Russia never interfered in the election. Yeah, you go from Sanders to Trump. 12% did. And in 2016, if you want American soldiers home, you go from Bernie Sanders to President Trump. 100%. If you want American soldiers home, President Trump signed a deal in late February and early March that nobody talked about to end our involvement in Afghanistan. This is a fact. Clinton would never have done that. Bernie Sanders would never have done that because they would never, number one, they would never allow Bernie to even get close to the nomination. I learned that the hard way in 2016. And I never forgot that he was cheated. I never forgot that he didn't have the guts to say that he was cheated. I never forgot that everyone around him, all the Medicare for All people, never had the guts or the courage or the wisdom to address the fact that he was cheated. And Democrats, people should not vote for a political party that cheats their own candidates. If you do that, and if you acknowledge that a person was cheated like Bernie Sanders and still vote Democrat and still tell people to vote Democrat, then you are basically allowing them to elect Clinton again. Hillary Clinton's going to be nominee. There's a lot more in common from foreign policy, bringing Americans home from America's longest-running military conflict. I thought Bernie Sanders would do that. Getting us out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, I thought Bernie Sanders would do that. Signing prison reform legislation, I thought Bernie Sanders would do that. Having record low unemployment before the pandemic, I was hoping that would happen with Bernie Sanders. I have all of that with President Trump. So yeah, that's how you go from Bernie Sanders to President Trump. Addressing the $400 billion trade deficit with China, that's how you go from Bernie Sanders to President Trump. Through tariffs, which Bernie would have imposed also, perhaps not as many. Bernie 2016, there was definitely an overlap with conservatives. Okay? That's why allowing the intelligence community to say that Bernie Sanders was part of a Russian plot, and then that Russia was working alongside Trump's campaign. Sorry, I'm not going to go. When Bernie Sanders started furthering that myth, I was out. When the DNC sued Russia like a bunch of maniacal imbeciles, I was out based on a myth and a fantasy. So yeah, and there's, to be with all due respect, there's no word called progressive because Hillary Clinton is viewed as a progressive. So there's no such thing as a progressive. Progressives vote for Hillary Clinton. Progressives are voting for Joe Biden. Progressives say they're never Biden, but then will vote for Hillary Clinton. Progressives want Medicare for all and then will eventually vote for a person who would veto Medicare for all, which is what Biden would do. So I don't know what the word progressive means. Hillary Clinton is a progressive. You could just look it up. So Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, thank you. Somebody said I sold out from Sanders to Trump. Yeah, Sanders 2016 has more in common with President Trump. I hope everyone quotes me on this, and this easily, and I wrote this in the Federalist, so you can. Bernie Sanders 2016 has a lot more in common with President Trump than Biden or Clinton. A lot more in common. A lot more in common. Now, Bernie 2020 is a different story. He had one policy he obsessed over, and that's Medicare for all. That didn't even. There is no Medicare for all bill. The Good Heart 100. Do you think there will ever be indictments? Yes, when President Trump wins again. We have to wait, though. For people, this is the thing, we have to, the Good Heart 100, we have to wait. So, and then the Durham probe, the Good Heart 100, the Durham probe, thank you. The Durham probe has to need some political. You need political political will. You need a mandate, somewhat of a mandate, And they had that mandate when they lost the election with a bunch of maniacal, fanatical, apoplectic, hysterical, seething, fuming, millions of those people, Democrats. So all they needed was to, Sessions to, tell Sessions, oh, we're going to impeach you for, we're not going to allow you to become Attorney General. I have no clue. Why was Attorney General so important to Sessions? I mean, Trump has devoted his life to insulting Sessions any chance he gets. You have to ask yourself, the people telling you to trust Sessions, my God almighty, I was against that from the very beginning. Then you say, well, Sessions did something good, so what? So he did something good once in his life. Who cares? He also appointed Huber. Who cares? Sessions was he was more important than Debbie Wasserman Schultz to the Democratic Party. A lot more important. Without him, there is no Mueller probe. All he needed to do was step down and Trump would have found William Barr. Could you imagine if William Barr, there would be no Mueller probe. And then you have Hillary winning an Emmy for Outstanding Documentary on Nonfiction. Do you understand you're going to win a Pulitzer or an Emmy or an Academy Award? There should just be a new movie called F Trump. They would sweep the Academy Awards and that's it. It could be like a silent film. And it could be a silent film in black and white, and it could be have one or two actors and a studio. It could be a set that's just a room, and it could be half an hour long. It would get Best Picture, Best Screenplay. It would get Best Makeup, Best scenery, whatever. It would sweep the Academy Awards because that's all that they are. They are obsessed, completely apoplectic, completely and utterly hysterical. It's actually really scary and frightening when you think about how scary and frightening they are. You cannot even bring up President Trump without them having, a conniption. Jimbo! Enthusiasm from Trump, amazing. For Biden, zero. You know what? The fact that he'll win again, because he's going to win again. By the way, do not count Kanye West out in 2024. In 2024, do not count him out. Do not count him out. If he gets about 5-6 million votes, which he will, he'll take the popular vote away from Democrats, which will be fantastic. I mean, absolutely fantastic. It will be so amazing because if they don't get the popular vote, first of all, they're going with Hillary Clinton. She will lose again. That'll be hilarious. Just the fact that they're going to lose again with Clinton is hilarious. I mean, really, really hilarious. But in addition to that, they're not going to. They will have spent 4 years on nonsense. Their legitimacy and their credibility will go flying out the window or down the toilet. And look, I wrote articles explaining exactly why Democrats will lose. It wasn't just that. And I told you exactly the mentality that allows you to vote for the same political party that cheats a candidate. That's the mentality that elects President Trump. Thank God he's a great president. First Step Act. So President Trump gave more money to historically black colleges and universities than President Obama did. Angela Goodwin! Once again, I'm going to put a sentence in now about the time the dry is, the connection, a time of the dry is and the connection to today's politics. Yes, Angela Goodwin. Thank you. Thank you. Angela, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so very, very much. About 14,500 years ago, yes. I love it. I love it. Angela Goodwin, I love it. Felix, hello. But yeah, I mean, look. They're going to lose again. And they might what they might do is just they're going to push the envelope in terms of vitriol and venom when they lose. I'm actually thinking they're very likely going to try to investigate Trump again for winning. Yeah, they're going to try to say that Trump. They might even. Who knows what they'll do? But they'll definitely investigate Trump for winning. That's without a doubt. And they're going to say that Russia and other countries. Who knows what they're going to do? But they're gonna probably investigate President Trump for winning, because once he wins, it's gonna be, my God Almighty, the worst thing of all time. Like, there goes our country, there goes our democracy, there goes everything, there goes our lives, there goes everything. Madonna shares same video as Trump. It's so hilarious. That is so hilarious. That is so hilarious. And then you have CNN. Trump walks out of CNN briefing after CNN. Good, he should. President Trump abruptly walked out, ending his. Following questions about his tweets by. Trump defended the tweets about. Still very positive. Called doctor who was spreading. Oh my God. So. They're at it again. They're at it again. I mean, my God, they're at it again. They're at it again. Someone needs to tell them that five of the top 5 states that have the most lives lost and cases are Democratic-run states. Why is that? Then you have a Yale psychiatrist. Trump's displays a false strength foreshadow plan to question election results. They said the same thing about Trump in 2016 when they thought he was going to lose. Silver Sword. HA, who was leading in registering new voters? Dems or GOP? I'm not sure. Probably Democrats. But Democrats are very good at registering new voters. Let's see. But it's the likely voters that turn out. Biden lead, but many anticipate secret Trump vote. So Democrats strong in swing counties. Okay. There is no support for Biden. No support for Biden. Because Biden is, if he were to actually debate Trump, that support would be zero. They're basing any assumptions about Biden's support upon the fact that he doesn't ever get covered. Nothing he says gets covered by media. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because if they actually covered him, they would realize that it's just, it's sad and pathetic, and it's like it's almost cruel. It's almost cruel. And they're doing it again. Donald Trump holds a narrow lead over Joe Biden in Texas. Yes, in Utah. Yes. Texas and Utah. They're going to vote for Biden because 91% of Republicans support Trump. This makes a lot of sense. So, So, I mean, there's a Yale doctor that is also talking. This is the thing. Anything Trump says, this is why when they complain about, oh my God, he's not giving when they complain about he's not giving leadership, this is why when they complain about that, he's not providing leadership, they don't want his leadership. So when they say like the country's divided, they keep saying the same things. They say, well, this country is so divided. It's not divided at all. Trump supporters are very happy. Generally, it's not being framed and set up, not having the president framed and set up, and not all the absurd nonsense regarding the apoplectic coverage over Trump. Did he get us into a war or quagmire or a military confrontation? No, that was Bush and President Obama. What did he do? Was there an economic collapse? No, the pandemic, but that has nothing. Trump has been wanting to open up the economy for a long time, completely. What did he do that warrants the vitriol? His tweets? Clinton and Biden have both said worse and done worse. So what did he do to warrant everything? It's just his personality. They don't like his personality, but they think Biden has a fantastic personality, or they think Clinton has a fantastic personality. I think Bernie Sanders is a good human being, but this is a man who, at this point right now, look, he's a good human being, but he's pretty much a Democratic Party operative. You get cheated even in Iowa in 2020 and you don't say anything? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? Then you allow them to say that Russia wanted Bernie Sanders, and then instead of saying that's nonsense, he goes, oh, Russia, if you're listening, I don't want your help. Jimbo, Biden following the playbook. Exactly. Jimbo, it's going to be fantastic. The BAL boys in Australia, it's going to be awesome. Jimbo, thank you so very much. It's going to be awesome. The Good Heart 1000. Do you think the Republicans will keep the Senate and retake? Yeah, I don't. That's one of the things I was right. The Senate. I said the GOP would increase its lead in the Senate, and it did. I said Beto O'Rourke would lose. I said Andrew Gillum would lose. I said Stacey Abrams would lose. They all did. I wasn't right about the House. But see, again, that I underestimated Democrats at that point. It wasn't the blue wave they predicted, and President Obama and Bush lost more seats. But I don't know. I'm gonna stay away from that. But I think that I'm hoping that Republicans keep the Senate. They probably won't take the House, but we'll see. It'll be very interesting. Democrats don't have anything. It was actually a Pyrrhic victory for Democrats to get the House because all they did was investigate Trump and move further and further away from anything they could tell their voters in terms of, hey, you know what? We did this for you. We passed this legislation for you. So, but the Good Heart 1000, thank you. I don't know. I think that, once Clinton becomes nominee, we'll be able to see see, this is so the dangerous case of Donald Trump. It's a 2007 book. 27 psychiatrists, psychologists, and mental health professionals describing the clear and present danger of the U.S. President Trump's mental health poses to the nation and individual well-being. Any mental health professional that writes a book about somebody that they've never spoken to should not be a mental health professional. Any mental health professional that says that President Trump removing Americans from never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, President Trump signing the First Step Act, President Trump giving more funding to his administration, allocating more funding to historically black colleges and universities than President Obama. Any mental health professional that says that President Trump signing an executive order combating anti-Semitism, which is running rampant on college campuses, any mental health professional that says that President Trump winning the election and fighting back against people who set him up and framed him because he never worked with Russia. I think that any person who claims to be a mental health professional should reevaluate their allegations or cease to work with people and patients in the mental health field. So this is interesting. This is like the dangerous case. This is 27 psychiatrists, psychologists, mental. Are there any Trump supporters? Because the funny thing is, the Republicans don't like Trump. So if you have a bipartisan, statement against Trump, that's meaningless. Angela Goodwin. George Lucas wrote a book, The Destruction of Reason. George Lucas wrote a book, The Destruction of Reason. He was a baron turned Marxist philosopher. That's a reading for those professionals. The Destruction of Reason. Thank you, Angela Goodwin. You are phenomenal. You are phenomenal. To Destruction of Reason. George Lucas. Reason and Science. Lucas should have. It's interesting. It's interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Angela. As always, thank you. What they do all the time is they make allegations based on their sensibilities. So he has a mental problem. Meanwhile, he just sees the world differently, and he has a different personality. And because he doesn't conform to President Obama, who destroyed Libya, or Bush, who destroyed a whole bunch of countries, that is normal to these mental health professionals. The mental health professionals view Bush and President Obama and Clinton, when she said, "We came, we saw, he perished." That is normal. This is good behavior to wonderful mental health professionals who are Democrats. This is why Democrats will lose, because the arrogance, and it's not just like, people who, it's all, anyone who looks at Trump and says, this man is when we had record low unemployment, they were saying, oh my God, the sky is falling. So imagine, now we have a serious pandemic. So you can just, if they weren't happy with, and you watch, when they go from Biden to Clinton, they're not going to skip a beat. They're not going to miss a beat. It's not even going to be, it is not going to be, thank you, Brickyard 4738, thank you very much, greatly appreciated for the kind words. Greatly appreciated for the kind words. They're not going to miss a beat. They are not going to miss a beat. They will say, so what? Just like when they didn't believe Tara Reid, just like when they purchased the Steele dossier, they will say, so what? Who cares? It's not a big deal. You know what? Biden was doing well. We're going to do even better. And and I'm telling you, the only person to accurately predict this is just one person. This channel and H.A. Goodman's other channel. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have a great segment on there. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, they're not going to skip. They're not going to miss a beat. It's not going to be, oh my God, how did that happen? Aren't they embarrassed? They won't skip a beat. let's see here. Oh, and look at that. They're going after... Look at that. They're going after a woman of color who is President Trump's... this is unbelievable. A doctor who President Trump has championed, a woman of color, and immediately they are going after her with negative hit pieces immediately, without skipping a beat. Immediately, without skipping a beat. So... It's interesting. It's interesting. Their vitriol and venom towards Trump will be their undoing, and it's going to be so amazing to watch. It will be so amazing to watch. Their vitriol and their venom towards President Trump will be their undoing. G-Man, yes, it is the machine. It is a public relations machine. It's a public relations machine. So, here, New York Times. This is hilarious. This is an article. Why is Hillary Clinton so hated? I love her, so I don't know. I couldn't answer that question. Why are they talking about this? Because she's going to be nominee. This is hilarious. I told you it's happening. And this is the New York Times today. Yes. Oh, this is a great Washington Times. Democrats claim Trump will do what they've been doing since 2016, reject election results. That's great. Why is Clinton so hated? Oh my God, please, let's just... Why? I don't. I love her. I love Hillary Clinton. I love Madam Secretary. I don't know why anyone would dislike her. That's terrible. Let me see if I could get this on my phone. Hold on. Okay, so let's see. Hold on one second. This is so funny. Oh my God, this is so great. Okay, let's see if I can get this on my phone. The hunting of Hillary. The 40-year campaign to destroy Hillary Clinton. I'm buying that because I think it's been a right-wing plot. Why is this coming out now? Oh, that's right, because she's going to be nominee. In the almost 4 years since Donald Trump won the presidency, those of us who weren't in favor of that particular outcome can sometimes appear to have sorted into two equally vocal camps. The first group thinks that Hillary Clinton deserves some significant portion of blame for the election result because of the campaign she ran, or indeed for running at all. Jimbo! HSC so lovable. Yes, I think so. The first group, okay, given the decades-old baked-in political weakness she somehow persuaded the Democratic Party to ignore. The second group sees that kind of thinking as anti-feminist and anti-establishment and attributes the Clinton loss almost entirely to external forces: misogyny, conservative dark money, media manipulation. The same forces that have unfairly dogged her throughout her years in public life. Of course, he won a Pulitzer Prize in the 80s, and now... So this book goes over a lot of familiar biographical... The Hunting of Hillary. Why would this book come out now? Because she's running! Or she'll be nominee. Certain amount of feminist inflected. And let's see, so the Hillary Clinton's notorious remark that she could have stayed home and baked cookies offended plenty of women who were on the right, but it is similarly glossed over. Okay, so it's understandable why D'Antonio might shy away from anything that would seem to feed the trolls more than 3 years after Clinton's loss in the midst of a world historical pandemic and impending economic ruin. Impending, okay, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Who wants to keep the country closed? Trump wants to open it up, and it was several of the most shared news stories on Facebook in March involved Hillary Clinton's emails. Yeah, because of Judicial Watch. There is little room in this book for considering the Hillary Clinton story in all its complicated richness and particularity may not be best presented as a chapter from the lives of the martyrs. Okay, I don't know what this is about. Is supposed to. D'Antonio can rarely bring himself to admit the couple have legitimate baggage. Ah, okay. Well, there you go. That's going to be irrelevant. Biden has baggage also. More baggage than Clinton. Because the baggage Clinton has, nobody covers. Really. Nobody truly covers. Nobody asks simple, basic questions. Why did you need a server? That was for convenience. Oh, okay. Why is she going to get an Emmy for a Hulu documentary? This is hilarious. Ladies and gentlemen, to my super chat, thank you so very, very much. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'll have a great segment up tomorrow. Subscribe to it, people. Once things start rolling, you're going to get a lot more content on that channel. It's just we are in a kind of a holding pattern. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. To my super chat, thank you. And people, Chell, thank you. It's Jimbo. Hillary Clinton's going to be the nominee. Jimbo and everybody, it's going to be the biggest political call of all time. It'll be fantastic. God bless America. God bless you. Thank you so very much for watching, everyone. Luke St. Martin, Eric H526, Jimbo, everybody here to my super chat. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Please. It's below in the pinned comment. That's going to be a very important channel from here on out. I have a great segment up on that channel. Thanks, everybody. I will see you tomorrow, everyone. Be here at around always 8 p.m. every evening. From here throughout the election, 8 p.m. every evening. Like clockwork for my live stream. Thank you so very, very much, everyone.